Oh, this is gonna be a juicy comment section, Luke.
Yeah, it is.
So I have webcam up for a couple of reasons. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I thought nothing of the tweet that I put out a couple nights ago when I was making it. I'm like, I was just casually browsing like anti-Twitter, like, oh, there's still people complaining, right? And there's always somebody complaining on anti-Twitter. That's besides the point. But I'm like, well, let's because I saw in particular like a bunch of people complaining about the One Piece leaks. I'm like, as somebody that doesn't actively read One Piece, yes, the person that made that tweet does not actively read One Piece. They just happen to know a fucking lot about One Piece.
Yeah.
So, like, I dropped off after Whole Cake because all sorts of life shit happened. I'm just gonna pick it back up once it wraps up in a couple years.
Oh yeah,
Per
sure.
Oda, saying like 3 to 5 years. I'm going to just read it all in one binge because I feel like something like that was better as a binge. Because I enjoyed reading it as a binge back then, back in late college.
Oh, yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. And I feel like Wano wrapping up, I feel like people might go back and read Wano and might actually enjoy it more as a binge. But read it from week to week and
it's kind of like reading the 1,000-Year Blood War.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because surprisingly, I've seen people reading the 1,000-Year Blood War and actually giving it positivity.
Oh yeah, and as somebody that just recently went back and reread it, and because of the anime coming up, and because Red and I want to cover that on Chaos Squared, in some capacity. I don't think we'll be doing like weekly episodes or however the fuck Disney Plus does that. We'll save that for the other podcast we'll be filming today. Because I'm not killing viewer retention with this. This is a bonus episode. So the tweet I'm referring to is I put out a, like, people don't like politics and manga. Meanwhile, their favorite manga allegedly is One Piece. I put in there about like Yamato being trans, some of the like more political themes. I forget what 3 panels I had on my phone exactly.
It was the one with I'll bring up because I've got the tweet up.
Okay. But anyway, that's beside the point. I put up 3 select panels so that I could do this. I could mimic this same exact argument with any form of media, too. It was just like an overgeneralization. Did not expect it to get like tens of thousands of impressions on fucking Twitter. It's sitting at like fucking like 1,600 likes, a bunch of retweets, quote retweets, a fuck ton of comments. Because once a certain audience got a hold of it, they're like, let me try and strawman my way out of this arguably straw man.
Yeah. Okay, so these were the tweets. It was the one with Ivankov going, man or woman or both, be whatever you want to be. I've already shattered the borders of gender. We all have. We already transcend it. Then it was one with Jinbei going, don't you know casual racism is out of style these days?
Yeah.
Luffy saying discrimination. Now, I feel like people are like saying like, well, this wasn't the official translation or something like that.
And it technically is and isn't, it is the official Western translation. It is the official like Viz Media. And people are
can I just for clarification, were
those were out of Manga Plus. Those were out of Manga Plus. Now I don't know if Manga Plus has a different overall translation than the official like Shonen Jump app, because I realized like after going back and reading some of Ayakashi Triangle, it's been updated as well inside Manga Plus. So I don't know if it's the new.
From what I can see, the one on Viz and the one on Manga Plus for One Piece is they're not really all that different.
No, it seems like it was more like type font when I went back and looked for that. I had those from an old fucking video on my phone. Because they were like selections that were sent for a thumbnail a long time ago. And I was just clearing my phone storage because my flip here does not have a 0.5 terabyte like my fucking Note does. So it's like low storage. I'm like, well, let me clear a bunch of old thumbnail shit out of my phone because all of my stuff ported over from when I got my new phone. I'm like, well, I'm technically not in charge of the One Piece reviews or making the thumbnails anymore. So I can dump all of this shit, you know? Because I still had, like, at least 90 things from where it was out of our group chat. From where Red and Thurman would send, like, thumbnail panels. I would shit together a thumbnail, or Red would shit together a thumbnail out of that. And I saved those because I thought, well, maybe somewhere down the line, we'll use them again for, like, an arc wrap up or something like that. And those were all, like, really good thumbnail choices that didn't end up getting used. And I do that for every fucking series we've covered. I still have shit from Black Clover that got not used for a thumbnail. I still have stuff from way back when we did My Hero Academia. I still have shit from fucking Promise Neverland on my phone. I hoard photos. And I've used a couple of those as, like, reaction images back in the past, too. The fucking, the Isn't Casual Racism Out of Style one. I've used, the discrimination one, just, you know, because they're funny reaction images. But they're all from those fucking apps. But I think, like, Ayakashi Triangle, like, the new translator, might be updating a lot of the wordage and verbiage in there that they couldn't really use inside of the Weekly Shonen Jump app, too.
Yeah.
And it's very much topped up art, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now all we need is just those forbidden chapters.
They'll eventually get in there, I figure, with the new people. Oh, by the way, this is obviously not coffee, but because I have webcam on and YouTube is still being pissy about the Ni no Kuni video, it's coffee, but it's not coffee, YouTube. I still cannot get that video not age gated, by the way, at all. I think
How?
Because Thurman and I are passing a blunt and beers around in it, and I guess that pissed YouTube off. So that might be, like, that first episode might just end up being an age gated video. Because I refuse to edit it anymore. I've cut that video from, like, an hour down to almost 30 minutes, trying to sanitize it as much as possible for YouTube, and it's still fucking age gated. So I'm just gonna put the raw cut up. Okay. Fuck that shit. So I'll be putting that up after the subathon, because I want to focus a lot of that shit on there. That's why this webcam's up, before we can get into this deeper topic, by the way. So I'm going to talk about this again in the other podcast. So if you're listening to both back to back, this one that's going to get 0.75 fucking viewer retention, everybody's going to drop off the second they hear, like, oh, the Kontrolled Khaos freaks are talking about politics again.
Yeah, how
dare they be woke?
How dare they be woke? I mean, it's not like any other things we watch are woke.
Oh, God. Yeah, wait till I get to Chainsaw Man and its political themes, kids. Buckle up, buckaroos.
Yeah. I was just about to say, like, oh, Star Wars isn't political.
What, you mean the Galactic Senate and the trade embargo and, like, the fucking arranged marriages in there aren't political? Golly. Gee willikers, Luke.
Yeah, and when you have a character in the extended universe of Star Wars The Old Republic
not canon.
Yeah, saying, like, I fight for the Republic until the day I die. I won't fight for a political agenda. Oh, it's not canon. But then you want something from the non-canon universe to be canon, like Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Right. Let's not forget that they bullied them into bringing Thrawn back, because the fucking sequel trilogy wasn't that great.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah,
anyway,
definitely.
So, like, this webcam is here, right? And this is kind of how the format's going to be for a lot of this episode. On my second monitor, where this stream control is going to be all the goals that you guys achieve. So at 5 subs, I'm going to do a punishment stream where I dress up as a maid. At 10 subs, I'm going to, do a bunch of stupid challenges that you guys want to do. So say you want to get me to play a particular game. Whoever makes that 10th donation or subscription or whatever, however you fuel this fund, that will be getting control over that I play this. and I'm going to do that for every 10. Sorry. Every 10th sub. So that 10th sub, for 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, you will be able to control one game I play on stream. Depending on the context of that game, I'm not going to play Femboy Bangers or Fuda Dick and Dash on Twitch. Okay, Ann Arbor, I'm forewarning you.
Yeah, so anybody who's the 10th, 23rd, or 40th donation, get him to play one of the get them to play one of the AVGN reviewed games.
I have them all from you, unfortunately.
Yes, you do.
I have tried to play Dr. Jackal and Mr. Hyde on stream, and that through an emulator is like watching wax dry in my fucking bottle. Okay?
Get Fex to play one of the games that were involved with the boss battle tier list.
Oh, I mean, I'll play Resident Evil 7 or Final Fantasy 10 or something like that. Fucking yeah, that's a casual fucking Tuesday for me. But I would enjoy actually playing through a couple of those because it's been a long time. I have not played Legend of Dragoon since I lived at my house, so that's been about a decade. That would be really fun to play. And there's a boss battle from Legend of Dragoon on that we need to finish. If you're wondering why we're doing this and why we're doing the other podcast as well, Andrew is getting married, and we want him to be a part of the part 2 this week. This is his bachelor party weekend, so he's out doing bachelor party things. And that's where Red's at. He's with him because it's his best friend. So, but that's why we put that one off, and we're doing this political one. We're doing a lot of things. The point being is, like, at 100 subs, which will basically buy the new graphics card, which is the whole purpose of this subathon. I will read through the entirety of My Hero Academia on stream.
And for the long time Kontrolled Khaos viewers, you all know how much Vex pretty much despises My Hero as a series.
That is the ultimate punishment for me, is sitting through that pile of dog shit.
I cannot wait for that to happen and for you to experience the disappointment that was the war arc in My
I have
Hero.
heard nothing good about that arc. I have heard not one praise of that arc.
The only praise that I've seen come from it is probably from Tekken 101.
Well, I mean, he's also a fanboy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing, like, and Eyepatch Wolf being in complete denial that the series is ending. One of the main characters is potentially dead, spoiler alert, you know.
Yeah, I will say this. I
would be
My Hero.
very fucking shocked if Horikoshi kills him off.
If Horikoshi has the balls to kill him off, I will respect Horikoshi a little bit more as an author. Because Horikoshi did the one thing that Promised Neverland's author failed to do.
Oh, yeah. And see, the thing is, Thurman's here, by the way, off camera. Hello. How? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And I do defend Promised Neverland, but I cannot defend the decision to cock tease the audience to killing Ray only to bring him back in the next chapter.
And that's the thing, like, you hit the nail on the head. Like, once they did that, you realize that the series would have no weight, and that's the thing that really fueled a lot of divisiveness in that fandom. And if Horikoshi actually does go through with, you know, killing off Bakugo, that's going to be a very interesting situation on Annie Twitter.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of Annie Twitter being like,
the funny thing about that is, right, is like...
He doesn't have headphones in, Luke, so he doesn't know if you're talking.
Oh, well, yeah. Here, let me do this. Let me join the Discord here.
Yeah, I'll let Furman go.
Because, like, the whole fucking, like,
You might want to grab your headphones.
Oh,
right. Yeah, that way we don't have an echo.
Damn it. Okay.
Yeah, but, like,
Okay,
Shion.
she's having fun right now for some reason.
Yeah, she's having a lot of fun today.
But the thing is about the whole thing is that like killing off Bakugo definitely seems like a just is. I feel like there was no deliberate reason why Hirokoshi chose to kill off Bakugo.
Wait, it's the same thing as Neji.
It's just because like it was like that factor, you know what I mean? Like, because it feels like Hirokoshi knows like, oh, I don't kill off people like that. What could like really be like, wow,
but crust,
wow, you know? So that is the thing, but it's just like, honestly, I feel like if Bakugo was going to be killed, it should have been towards the more end of the arc. I feel like it should be like a conclusion to it rather than at the beginning, because now I don't know if it's actually legitimate or not. Because Best Units could be saving this man as we speak. You know what I mean?
Ares magically on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we should have killed at least like multiple students who actually have more skill than Bakugo. Then, if anything, realistically, Bakugo should.
Horikoshi just said "fuck your ship" is what he did.
He should have been alive. He has more of a chance against Shigi, more or less, compared to the rest. And like you see, like every other student, like still alive somehow. But I feel like, to be fair, I guess
is Invisible Naked Girl still alive?
Yeah, I do not know.
I mean, like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not gonna say like Bakugo dying is bad.
You would think like Headphone Girl, Invisible Naked Girl, Pocket Dimension Titty Girl, they'd all die before.
I mean, it's just, I just don't.
I sound very, very suspect right now, but I could not give less of a shit about my hero.
Can I?
Go ahead, Luke.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Furman, when you said Bakugo dying should have happened towards the end of the arc, it kind of is, because literally we've only got like 3 fights left. We've got the fight with All For One, this fight going on with Shigaraki, and the fight with Toga, and that's it.
Yeah, you got Toga, All For One, and Shiggy left, so it kind of is like the end of the arc, Luke's saying.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's just like, no, but I'm saying like towards like the end of the arc. I'm talking about like the conclusion. Right now,
this might be the conclusion.
Like another few months or even a year to My Hero ends.
Please do not let this drag out for another year.
So, no,
I don't want this turning into the Garu arc of My Hero.
Furman, I'm giving it until the end of the year.
I feel like Hirokoshi, Bakugo dying this early in the arc is because we all suspect All Might is gonna die. Like, I laugh so hard if Bakugo stays dead but All Might stays alive. That is so funny to me. If
Mr. Popo over here.
If All Might stays alive but Bakugo stays dead, that would be the funniest shit to me.
No, deadass. Like, that'd be like fucking Akai surviving the explosion at the end. Like...
That shit is so funny to me because it's just so funny. Because, like, out of all the characters, Bakugo, right? Because you could argue, like, his arc is over.
Mr. Popo still technically alive in Dragon Ball Super?
Yeah, I think so. I don't see why he would be dead. Unless
I would want to see, like, a remastered image of Mr. Popo and see if Toriyama has learned that blackface character is not a good representation.
No, I mean, I don't...
I would make a joke right now, but...
To be honest, when I was younger.
Luke, if it makes you feel any better, my webcam's been on this whole time I've been making this joke.
I really didn't. As a kid, I didn't think. I thought he was like an alien or something. To be honest, I thought he was.
He technically is. He technically is, but it's very much like a caricature of blackface.
Yeah, 100%.
And just like really the original, what's his nuts from Shaman King.
Oh, Chocolate, but Chocolate's a great character though.
Yeah, so's Popo.
I love Popo. Doesn't do a damn thing.
Popo's a hilarious character, man. The hell you mean? He's more of a character than fucking Torin.
True.
Oh, but the whole point of this, while you go grab your headphones, bro.
I'm just making this deck real quick.
So the whole point of this was like that viral tweet, and I kind of want. I'm pulling up my browser right now. Ignore the 9,100%. Finishing off, wrapping up Final Fantasy VII Remake tweets over here or posts, because I kind of trying to complete a bunch of the achievements in that. Also, while I drag this back over, hey, Opera, you want me to do an ad read for you or not? Cooperate with me. Also, if you are playing any Epic game, our creator code is Kontrolled Khaos. Go, feel free to use that. Oh god, I forgot, like, the desktop version of this app shows all of them in sequence, so me retweeting a bunch of people and that was showing a lot more. I feel like this is kind of bad if I show their ats, so I'm not going to show their ats. We're gonna drag that back over to the other monitor. Shion, get your ass down. You're not going to scratch Thurman again.
Oh my god. Okay, you guys, I've just been on the Twitter again, and this is what someone's put. Every piece of media as like a question, tell me, what does Tetris have to do? What does Tetris have in it that makes it political?
Tetris was a fucking product of communism. It came out of the USSR.
Yeah, it's under my tweet where I said.
Did you see the ones? Tell me the political meanings of hop on pop. Like, obviously, you little shitbag, quit scratching my back.
Go to my replies real quick, because that's what I'm looking at right now.
I'm not going to say that this one didn't crack me up. I missed the part of One Piece where Luffy said, "Oh, this is just like that time Gamergate got Trump elected, or the time the incels victimized Nami with their dirty mail cases."
Was that like making fun of them or us?
It was them trying to dunk on us. I'm over here like, this was all like entertainment for 2 days for me. It's pathetic.
This is really funny because like just scrolling through this stuff, like, we were getting like people who agree with us, and then after a while, like we're getting the cesspool.
And exactly, and those are the types of people we don't want in our fucking community to begin with. So them revealing themselves to us, it's
your politics out of manga. Like, what is our politics? Because I'm legitimately curious. But that's the one thing.
Thurman. Allow the queer here to kind of dive into this one. It is the fact that they don't want to see anything that isn't a straight white character in an Eastern comic.
But it's funny because it's just like, they get so, like, their whole defense is your politics. Your politics is not his politics.
Take that wokeism out of here.
Like, I don't understand. Like, why is having a gay character in your series count as woke? Like, why does having a person who's people of color, like,
why is having a female doctor? Why was that political?
It's almost like they think like anything other than their own straight white male selves is like it's normal. Like, and that's the thing that people don't understand.
Thurman, I could guarantee about 25% of these people are just closeted conservative gays.
No, I'm pretty sure some of these people are probably black or Asian too, which is even ironic because, like, why are you so upset that you're getting represented? Like, don't get me wrong, there's pretty a bad representation out there.
Was it the New Warriors comic that was?
Oh my god, we do not talk about the New Warriors comic.
That was tokenism.
Right? Like the way Crunchyroll was marketing
High Guardian Spike. That was tokenism.
Those are good examples, right? Those are examples of you guys not trying to tell a story. You're trying to push an agenda. But this having a random gay character or turning one character gay or black or whatever isn't agenda pushing. Like, imagine seeing like a character come out and be gay is like your politics, and then when we say get mad, you're getting mad at politics. That's what we mean. Like, it's so funny. Like, most of the comments are just crazy. It's, oh, keep your politics. You don't know what politics means. I mean, we do. Clearly, you don't know what politics means.
Right.
Like, it's so funny thinking that they think they dunked on us. It's
right. And that's the thing. Like, I want to dive into a couple of these here because some of them did bring up valid criticisms. Like, Oda has historically shown, like, bad representation of POCs.
Like, he's like, you're talking about themes, not politics. Everything you said was politics. Like, literally everything.
Those are political themes.
There is nothing in
racism,
here,
discrimination. Those are political themes.
Like, it's so
fucking
It's so funny because like they think they're dunking on us with these arguments, but it's so fucking
This
funny.
is the one that I really want to dive into though, because this is very much a true thing of the past. Like there were translators, specifically more fan translators, that would introduce their own themes into it. There's an infamous panel that I'm not going to say the word that Kabachi uses.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Right.
I remember, but it's so funny though. Like
these are the official translations that are getting as close to the original source material as possible.
Where do they think that these translations are? Like, do they think you got these translations from like a random
I'm
site?
assuming they're thinking that
Like, you legitimately got
these are out of these are out of the Manga Plus app.
Exactly.
These were back, like I said at the beginning of the video. These are like leftover panels from when you guys were making thumbnails for chapters.
So
because you used to send like 3, 4, 5 panels.
That's so funny to me because they legitimately think that Viz is not translating One Piece properly and adding woke. I guarantee most people don't even read One Piece.
Oh, this has got a smug fucking like the fucking smug glasses. Anya is her profile picture.
Like, imagine getting so look at this. Like where does this even come from? That's not.
That's coming from probably Praga. You.
Where is this even coming from? Like where do we say this? Like it's funny.
It's because we put the transgender clip in there.
Because it's so funny because it's just like and the thing is too is that like they attribute us saying a politics and manga to like the cancerous SJWs that we're talking about.
Yep.
And that's the funny thing about these people on this Twitter feed.
Yep.
It's like they're so upset when we say, hey, you can do this and this and that and whatever, and still have like I couldn't fathom being that upset because
here's the
there's
thing.
a gay character in this series. You know what I mean? And it's
Here's
just like
the thing though, Thurman. Like they don't realize that the overall theme of One Piece itself is a giant shit on the fucking government itself.
Yeah, people like
piracy was an act of rebellion against the government back in the day.
Luffy would hate these people on this post right
now. Oh, very much so.
Luffy does not like these people on this post.
Speaking of Luffy, he's like one of the most famous asexual protagonists ever.
Like literally, like all of these look at these profile pictures. I guarantee you, majority of these people's profile characters would hate them. Just for these comments alone, they'd be like, "Why the fuck are you like bro?" We had people with Vinland Saga and Attack on Titan profile.
Like here's the thing. I was arguing with like the Vinland Saga one, and because I am pretty much majority like from the Nordic countries, like ancestrally.
Is this the quote tweet?
No, this is the whole thread, Thurman. This is all
so funny, bro.
This is like, all of them.
Also, can I just quickly say something? Mm-hmm. When people say like, "Oh, we don't want any white people in an Asian manga series," I'm just thinking there like, okay, then, how do you explain Monster, which is set in Germany?
Right. Here's the thing, like, there are very vast settings to manga. Like, you have everything from, like, Monsterverse in Germany. You have manga that are now taking place in, like, the US. You have all sorts of fucking varying degrees of fucking settings in these stories. And that's the glorious thing about this media. And like I said at the beginning of the video, like, I could do the same thing with, like, comics. I could do the same thing out of just 90s comic runs. That's the thing.
I had a guy arguing with saying, no, they weren't. Comics and manga weren't always political. Yes, they were. It's just that
he blocked me as soon as I dropped Stan's soapbox.
The thing is, though, these people don't like it. They say it's wrong. Keep your politics out of manga. So my politics. So you mean that you don't want to see gay people?
You don't want to see black people. You don't want
because that and he outed himself. He outed himself with everyone else in here. It's so funny because like. It's so funny because One Piece has always been like that, and funny. I honestly, I wish
I could go to Bleach.
I would go back. I should go back in this Twitter feed and just drop manga panels from different panels, not just One Piece, from Black Clover. Bleach,
you could
Naruto.
You should. You could go like in the final arc alone of Naruto and get like 30, 40 panels.
Like Sasuke is a terrorist. Your favorite character is a fucking terrorist. But that's not political, though, right?
No,
yeah.
No.
And speaking of terrorism, like the one panel I put the one tweet I put about like every piece of media being political, and I mentioned Doctor Who Classic. There's literally an episode in Doctor Who the classic series called The Sunmakers that was literally written by the writer because he was pissed off about paying taxes. So the doctor joined with the rebels and overthrew the government, basically committed terrorism.
Oh yeah, and see, like, these are the type of people you have seen in the January 6th riots.
Yeah, and it's crazy because
you know, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, okay, let me clarify that. But like, it's not the official view of the channel or anything. Let me cover my red bases here before you see this. Oh fucking hell! Yeah. But like, I fucking,
this is so hilarious to me. Like,
the thing is, like, just diving back to that Vinland Saga thing is
perfect. Jabe said it perfectly. It's only political when talking about views or ideologies that aren't.
I mentioned,
and it's that's the biggest truth. Like, it's politics that they don't agree with, they find uncomfortable, so they're going to complain about it. It's the same thing, and it's funny because I'm very fair. I hate it when people, I guess on the left, if you call them, try to censor manga or comics. I don't like that. If it has like uncomfortable themes in it, that's the point. You know what I mean? Like I
like 3 tweets before this tweet, I was shitting on the fact that Sony/Crunchyroll bought Right Stuff Anime and was immediately delisting like all like lewd manga from their website.
Like there's a lot of people,
like literally 3-ish tweets before this.
Like there's a lot of people like who are very like, and I see the reason why, but when I say this, like, there's a lot of people who don't want to see like crime in like fictional series. They don't want to see like rape. They don't want to see like
and that's perfectly fine.
Stuff
Avoid
like
those series.
But it's just like, you have to understand is that stuff like that, unfortunately, is very real. And so, like, in a dark fantasy manga, something like that will happen. So trying to censor that...
Read Bastard, like, and you'll see that is a very dark fucking series with a lot of those things.
Like Berserk, trying to censor Goblin Slayer, like, these are dark fantasy series. So stuff like
Slap a disclaimer on it so people can avoid those sensitive topics and then move the fuck on. So if you see at the beginning of episode 1 of Goblin Slayer, this has very sensitive themes. The viewer discretion is advised. There's depiction of rape. There's depictions of this, that, and the other thing. Like, that gives you an ability to avoid that piece of media, knowing that you are not going to enjoy that.
And that's one thing that...
Oh, yeah, for sure. And also, to add on to that, Rising of the Shield Hero.
Yeah. And it's just like, the thing is, though, there are people who want to take out sensitive topics in manga and comics, and I disagree with that. The whole point of that being in there is to make you uncomfortable, so you don't like the character, or you...
I know this is far-fetched, but it's the same thing I feel about a lot of the more modern America, right? Like, destroying your past. There is a place to learn from your past. Like, all of my family is basically from the South, so they have ties to that whole ordeal we'll use to skirt YouTube's censor here. We're going to... And I feel like there's a place for that to exist inside of a museum so we can learn from our past. It's very different than how Germany handled things there, even though
That's so funny. What is that politics exactly?
Yeah, just like Germany did the exact opposite. They, like, completely banned any use of any Nazi imagery, shit like that. Those are both very valid options. But you see now how far America is digressing into that same fucking style of viewing humans now, with like everything from Roe v. Wade, everything from, you know, the whole like basically banning being gay in certain countries and their detransition.
Jinbei never originally said this cringe. Really?
You don't have a monopoly for talking about discrimination. No shit, we don't have a monopoly of talking about...
I'm legitimately curious. I'll go back and see that panel.
Also, to go back to what you were saying...
The dude has a Pepe for a profile picture, Thurman. You think he has a valid opinion on the internet?
True.
Oh, no. Also, to go back to what you were saying, Fex, about the whole erasing history. That's those type of people are the type of people who will complain about nothing happening in a series. Everything's all peachy keen, happy. Where's the conflict? And yet trying to basically brush it up and brush things from the history and say,
Mhm.
"Oh, that didn't happen. Everything was all nice,
Oh, yeah.
happy-go-lucky back." And I'm just there thinking, like, no, we should have these things so that we can be like, this is how it was. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but we have to learn from it and learn
Exactly.
to not go back to those ways.
See, I was very uncomfortable reading The Elusive Samurai because it kind of gave me a little bit of that, like, sussy, like, pedo vibes.
I mean, shit.
You know,
even then, though, that shit doesn't
like,
it's weird.
and
It's
having
like,
issues with, like, priests in the past personally, I'm like, I'm not going to continue reading this, you know, because that's a sensitive subject to me personally. So I'm just over here like, this series, not for me. I can put it in this pile of series, and there are quite a few series in that pile that were not for me. And that's perfectly fine. And you can avoid those types of series. If you don't like woke bullshit, as you would call,
which is fucking stupid, because what is the definition of woke? Like, there ain't no way having a fucking character who's not like you in a series is woke.
Thurman, to them it's woke. To them it's woke. They let them have their straw man.
Furman, to them, this is basically the equivalent of what happened. Again, going back to Doctor Who, because it just seems to always pop up whenever something that makes me scratch my head. It always comes back to Doctor Who. There was an actress in one of the latest Doctor Who specials who basically had one arm, but nothing was more of it. Like, it was never addressed that she had a disability. They just treated her like a normal character. And people were there just like being like, how dare you not bring attention to her disability? And I'm just there like, maybe we want to just
see, in an earlier fucking timeline, I made a post. You can probably find this on, well, I actually probably can't because I have that profile private now. But on my old Facebook, I'm going to out myself here. You can have a face to this. That's been the whole purpose of, like, you can have a face to this argument, too. You can come for my throat, like I put up on Twitter, if you're mad about that Kontrolled Khaos tweet. I put up a post. The only way that they'll be very happy is if they have a black disabled trans character on Doctor Who. And then it can hit all of the buttons for that style of argument, for that SJW argument. Because until you hit every nail on the diversity higher head, there will be somebody that is pissed off. And that's
for sure.
And that's the unfortunate part of this. And that's the side that this Twitter argument has been getting at. And I'm very much on their side to that degree. There's always somebody bitching about something. And there's no need to bitch about every little tiny fucking thing in politics.
I agree with that. There's like, the thing is though, right? Like, sometimes, you know, there are sometimes, like, we're not anti-SJW. This is not fucking back in the day, right? Like, we don't care.
A little bit.
But it's just like, sometimes SJWs can take shit too far.
That's the side that I'm very against.
But the thing is, though, is that people need to understand is like,
that comes with everything.
It comes with everything, and like, we're not even just talking about One Piece. It's literally just I lost this game.
Yeah, I used them as the stepping stone for this because it was the first available. I didn't have to think about making the tweet. Like, this was brain empty moments at like 4 a.m. when I put this up. I'm like, this will be funny for like 3 people.
And then you get like thousands.
Yeah, it's just so funny how mad you get.
How many quote retweets does this shit have?
Like, I think 52, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, by their logic,
Yeah, 57.
I cannot do acting in anything because of the fact that I'm asexual, dyslexic, autistic. They'll be seeing that as woke.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
like, bro, these people are actually so fucking funny. You picked
and also as well to the people who are saying like, oh, Doctor Who's gone woke because the new Doctor Who is black now. They wouldn't
black and portrayed by a seemingly gay actor.
Yeah,
too.
They wouldn't like it if I told them like, hey, newsflash, we've already had a black Doctor before because Peter Davison is mixed race. He's half black.
Jesus Christ. Thurman, let's stop clicking on all the 70,000 fucking quote retweets here.
I'm sorry, this is so.
I thought for a second there, I thought like I said something like,
No,
oh
he's
God,
over here controlling my mouse. Like,
but yeah,
it's
yeah.
fucking-
People tend to not realize that, like Peter Davison, the Fifth Doctor, who's one of the whitest people to play the Doctor, is actually half black.
Exactly. And here's the thing, like they're rumoring that this will be the first gay Doctor, right?
There's a lot of subtext to that. I'm saying, like, did you watch the classic series? Because there was a lot of underlining subtext between the second Doctor and his male companion.
I never watched the early Doctor Who. I know, and we're going to get into like a bit more past this tweet here, because there's more to this whole argument than dunking on the fucking idiots and the incels and the tweet.
That's funny. That this is last thing I'll say about them is just like it's just really funny how mad you can get when we say like stop being mad about politics in comics, and then like they get so mad. Like it's almost laughable how like, angry they get when it comes to like I couldn't for the life of me figure out why.
Well, it's the same thing, and I'm going to get into it here in just a minute after I finish 2 points that kind of been talked over. There's a lot of discourse early on about the casting for Sandman, right? Because you cast a black woman as Death, you cast, Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer. Well, God. See, here in that universe in particular, those characters are just basically spectral beings, for lack of better terms. And they're the endless. They don't really have a gender, a sex. They don't have, a biological makeup, basically. They're just fucking particles, for lack of clarification here. Go read the fucking Sandman. It's a magnificent series. Or watch the first season of the Netflix show, because it was basically a one-to-one, for what Netflix is able to get away with for a lot of that. But even back in the day, that was a very counterculture, punk-esque style writing. And Neil Gaiman is known for creating these, like, subversive, like, against-the-grain stories, like Good Omens, American Gods, recently, like, Asani Boys. They're all wonderful magical fucking universes, and there were people bitching about like this non-existent space matter being black or a woman in this translation of it, or this instance of it. I'm just over here like, did you read the fucking comics, or do you just want to bitch?
Most of the people don't ever read the comics that they like.
This is one of the first instances of trans characters in media and comics particularly, and you are bitching about them being woke when that was I cannot wait till that story arc is fucking adapted by Netflix just to watch them lose their collective shit that's happening. Because at the end of the day, the people that make these arguments don't understand what they're fucking reading. There really needs to be a mandatory media literacy class in school. Because this age of instantaneous gratification, that we keep coming back to that term, where I can scroll through my TikTok feed for 4 hours a fucking day and get 13-second clips of somebody snipping a movie over and over and over again while I'm watching fucking gel be made, or somebody like making some sort of putty or doing some sort of Play-Doh shit down there on the bottom of the screen so it skirts that copyright law. I can fucking watch that for 4 hours, and then I've digested an entire movie while also fueling my need for, like, ADHD multitasking. But did I really absorb anything in that is the whole point, right? Because my brain is focused on this other task down here. It's not really getting the message. That's the same thing we're having now in this generation, where you have this like Black Mirror sitting there being your everything. And you're scrolling from YouTube to Twitter to Shonen Jump to like Manga Plus to whatever, while you're not really focusing on any one task. And this newer generation, Gen Z, seems to have like the ability to do that and still absorb some of the fucking message. But back, like that middle ground there, doesn't really understand anything. because they grew up in the fucking birth of this new instantaneous gratification where like they weren't born to sit there and process 17 things at a time. And now we're seeing the outcome of that, where like nobody understands what the hell is happening in the story that they're fucking reading or watching or just consuming casually, right? I've shit on CinemaSins a lot recently, but I really think that they were the forefront of like destroying any like media literacy.
Oh my god, yeah. And then they say like, "Oh, we're not reviewers. We're assholes." But then
well, yes, very much so. They are indeed assholes.
Yeah, but then you get
but then again, there's me up here in the webcam, shitting on them. So I guess I'm kind of an asshole too. Yeah. But
but then you get them like doing out of our video discussions, and they use their discussions in the CinemaSins video. So basically, no, you're reviewing the film,
right? And you are reviewing the film and trying to. And it's the same issue I have with Nostalgia Critic too, like taking a piece of media out of the context of it and trying to review it instead of sitting down and consuming it for what it was and the product of its time is not a very good look for a reviewer. This is a film that was made in the 1950s, right? It was a completely different world in the 1950s than it is in 2022. And you gotta take into consideration that this is a product of its time. It's like those old early Looney Tunes episodes that are now banned. It is a product of its time. The Song of the South, product of its time. Were they incredibly problematic? Abso-fucking-lutely. But so was H.P. Lovecraft. So was Shakespeare to some degree. All of these famous authors and artists were incredibly problematic by today's standards. But you are reviewing, and it's still required reading for a lot of people, reading like Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet and shit like that.
Honestly, like, and I get it, right? When it comes to like certain things, like a lot of stuff makes people uncomfortable. Yeah. But my thing is, if it makes you uncomfortable, just don't consume it. Like you don't have to. No one's forcing you to read a certain series or consume a certain product.
Exactly.
Or play a certain game, like you don't like. It's the same thing we talk about. A mutual friend of ours who forced herself to watch a series that she knew she was not going to.
Oh God!
Because it had content in it that happened to her in her past, and then she comes to either you or me complaining about said content, and we're like, you didn't have to watch it. Don't watch something that you know is going to upset you.
See, just for clarification, this is a mutual friend of ours that was said like, basically you weren't, pop culture savvy if you don't watch Game of Thrones, for lack of better context here for this situation.
I'm not gonna mention her name, but yeah.
Even though she's been on the channel, we're not gonna mention her name. But I'm just over here like, this is a series that has like a rape scene an episode.
Multiple rape scenes in it. Like, I don't know, I heard multiple.
Yeah, it has basically child trafficking in it. You're like, there's so much in it that is against what you stand for as a human, and also is going to make you incredibly uncomfortable. No friend is going to recommend you. No friend is going to recommend a series that is going to make you uncomfortable.
And the thing is, though, like, no friend. It's just about. This a better clarification. No friend knows you went through something traumatic, like in the series, and then will recommend that series. That's like me recommending her fucking Berserk or Review of Healer or hell, even SAO, because that shit will,
yeah. Even as an
like.
SAO fan, I could not recommend. When she asked for like anime recommendations a while back, I'm like, I know it's considered a starter pack, but I'm not going to recommend SAO because it has rape scenes in it.
Yeah, and we know that makes you uncomfortable. So why, as us, as
I will
friends,
say,
we're recommending that?
Go ahead, Tyler.
Also, hello everybody watching. I'm here now. But on the topic of, I want to circle back to like when you say that like some things are just a product of its time. One thing I will recognize is that like some people use the product of the time excuse to like overlook the problematic aspects.
Absolutely.
Well, it is important to recognize something is a product of its time.
But that doesn't make the
also
content okay.
Yeah, and it is still important to recognize why these things are problematic.
Right.
Like, circling back to that Looney Tunes reference you made, it's important to realize that yes, it is a product of its time, but why it's bad today is because of those
problematic
stereotypes of black people, of indigenous people.
Yep.
So there is like a little bit of nuance you should have when you say something is a product of its time, but you should still understand why it's not good today.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a fellow content creator. I've known them for a very, very long time, and he's going through a bunch of older movies with his daughter because she wants to, see movies from when her dad was growing up, right? So one of them that he showed her recently, and I fucking love this franchise. I know it's incredibly cheesy and it's incredibly stupid by today's standards, but he's like, well, this one was coming out when I was in military, right? So he got to see the first two in theaters, and then he got deployed and got to watch the others when he came back. American Pie. So American Pie is dude bro culture from the 90s and 2000s. And there's no better way to describe that. He's like, this is very much against everything I've taught you as my daughter. But since you want to see movies from when I was growing up, this was one that I loved when I was a kid. I realize now that the idea of having a high body count, and I'm a hoe, by the way, is not a good thing. And the sole goal of going out to get laid is very problematic. You should not be, going out just for that sole goal. That being said, a lot of my teenage years, because I was a dumb, I was a fucking teenager, okay? I based a lot of my early character off of that. I'm like, I'm going to go to the parties, I'm going to try to get laid. By today's standards, that's very stupid. There's a million more important things than at that age going out and just getting laid. And he's trying to impart that message into his daughter as they're consuming this. And this is a very, very dumb movie. And I'll never forget the first time I've heard this line. Thurman, you've probably heard the sound clip. This one time at band camp, I shoved a flute up my pussy. It is so fucking stupid. Or Finch fuck, or motherfucker, because the whole goal was trying to lay Stifler's mom in it.
Calculus King, I think it was.
Fucking, I have not watched that movie in probably 5-6 years at this point. The last time but little sound clips stay with you, from that. And then Jackass is another one that he was, showing, the Jackass movies. And the minute he mentioned that to me, right, I'm like, you mean, because this is a buddy that I used to hang out with in that era where I ended up hurting myself, and ended up getting the broken shoulder. I'm like, oh, so you mean the movie that I kind of based the stunt off of that cost me my shoulder? That one? And he's over here like, yeah, that one. I'm like, oh god, I hope your daughter has more brain cells than I did at her age. Because that's kind of my first bad injury, was trying to emulate stunts in that show, because I grew up in a very, very small town where you made your own fun. And small town America, that's basically all you can do, or could do back then. Now, obviously, you can get on Discord and make a podcast with your friends.
That was a self thing there. You knew where he was going with that.
Well, I'm like, learn from the stupidity of the generation before you is the major theme for this episode.
Yeah. Don't go running out with your friends into the creek during a flash flood, knowing that you're a bad swimmer.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't sound smart.
Or you know, go fishing and knowing you can't swim and get drug in and out of a boat while you're just fucking fishing for pike off the creek, breaking like 3 local ordinances and getting a ticket in the process. Oh no, don't do that.
What have you guys been doing in your lives? Holy shit.
Well, one of us is in another bumfuck nowhere state that has literally nothing to do.
Yes, I am.
Without doxing ourselves here.
Yeah.
Like, so the next thing that I want to get into is like that Vinland Saga tweet that Thermo was like, I was trying to educate them that like their worshipping of Vinland Saga is Vikings, one, openly the most pansexual body of humans that have ever existed on the planet while trying to dunk on LGBTQ, and also that is the most anti-war manga on the planet while also having a lot of fucking war in it.
Like, and it's funny too because like they always say, "Oh, we know manga has politics, we just don't want your politics," and it's just like
you are literally consuming media of a.
But my thing is though, like, so you don't want politics in a series that makes you uncomfortable. You don't want politics in. Because that's what they're saying. Like, like if anyone tells you I want politics in my series, but not your politics, not identity politics, blah blah blah, then I'm sorry to tell you, you don't want manga. You are that's a huge red flag to me because they'll be like, oh, I'm not racist, or I'm not homophobic. I'm not this, I'm not that.
Oh, I'm not going to go so far.
Put down my throat.
It is. As anti the whole dunking on most of these people's tweets as I have, I'm not going to openly call any of them.
The thing is, though, I can't.
A lot of them, and
there's no way you can be that mad at that tweet and it's not a red flag. I'm so.
Oh, it's very much a red flag. Let me clarify here. Like a lot of them, like if you go through their profiles, they're very much like in that incel echo chamber, right? Where they're retweeting shit from like Andrew Tate, they're retweeting shit from, you know, like they're retweeting shit like that, and I'm like, okay, so you fell down that rabbit hole, and that there are ways to get out of that rabbit hole.
I got out of it.
Yeah,
you're still subscribed to both of them to dunk on them though. You're hate subscribed to them.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's honestly, I'm thinking about just unsubscribing to them because their latest videos are just so stupid and so clickbait.
Well,
wasn't Andrew Tate the same person who nearly said that he wanted to fuck Toad?
He's the guy who thinks he's such a Chad. He literally has his own school of like how to get money and how to be a Chad. Like literally, he has a degree of how to pimp hoes. I shit you not.
There also he was a pimp.
So it's just
he quite literally was a pimp.
And this guy has sexual assault allegations or sexual abuse allegations, apparently.
Yeah, like just judging by what I've read on a lot of shit, because this motherfucker is like all over TikTok now because he pays people to like promote his shit on their pages or create like stan accounts. It's part of the program. I did a deep dive into the program because I'm like, why is this motherfucker everywhere? I can't go on Instagram or TikTok or fucking YouTube without seeing a short about this dude. So what is his deal? Why is he so quote unquote relevant? And I'm like, maybe this is like a new meta that somebody's, you know, because I enjoy dabbling in the algorithm game for YouTube. I'm like, well, maybe there's something to what he's doing. And then I realized like, oh, it's part of his system. I'm like, oh, I'm not fucking doing that. Like, I'm not paying somebody to go and post our clips or post our takes just to kind of keep feeding through the algorithm. That's a very stupid game. Sure, it could get you some traction, but it's very stupid. And specifically the type of content that the dude makes is very, very problematic, very misogynistic, very, you know, womanizing. I'm not going to fucking sit down and do the Andrew Tate method and look like a piece of shit by contrast there.
He's just very, very weird.
But like, that was like my deep dive into that. But the fact that these people were retweeting that, you can kind of see what type a lot of them are. A lot of them just are retweeting a bunch of anime and a bunch of manga that they like. So I'm not going to openly call them, you know.
No. I'm not saying those people. I'm saying the ones who are like, so gung ho and so.
Well, even some of them were very gung ho and liking a lot of the like dunking on us tweets. I'm like, okay, so what do these people, you know, view as good series or everything? And I'm just like, you're just retweeting a bunch of manga content. I can't really say you're one way or the other. I don't know how the fuck we stretch this into an hour-long podcast, by the way.
I'm sorry, bro. I don't like being that guy.
And I will say, like again, circling back, I feel like manga, like a lot of them are like in the same boat as music.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
I'm a big
Go ahead.
I'm a big punk music guy, and I remember I went to this concert, and it was this very we saw this band, Doll Skin, really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking. It was Trans Day Remembrance. I went to see this concert, and like someone in the back was like shouting like some Republican ass shit, being like,
of course they were.
Freedom of speech. I could say whatever I want, like that type of shit.
Yeah, and
like,
you very much can. This is America.
Yeah, but it's like.
And it's also like you specifically went to this particular event to cause trouble.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like I can kind of relate to that, Tyler, because I was at All Time Low. I know that they're kind of a subject of their own like misdeeds here. It was my first like post-COVID concert. There were some allegations against Alex Garriscarth. Those have been disproven multiple times and proven multiple times, so we don't really know what the whole situation is there. He's suing the people that are making the allegations because they've already been disproven multiple times, kind of thing, you know. I'm not going to open that can of worms fully. Believe what you want to believe there. Always, you know, do your own research on that kind of thing. But anyway, like, one of the opening bands for that was an all-female pop punk band, right? It was Meet Me at the Altar. And, like, they're all girl empowerment, you know, there's a whole fucking thing there. It was, like, wanting more women in punk rock, you know, which, go for it, you know. And the fact that they were all, like, I believe all of them were black as well. Like, they were all POCs. So, like, arguably, historically speaking, black people created the genre of rock. Because it was derived from soul. And soul was all black fronted, and then technically you had Elvis kind of popularize it and became this really like whitewashed, quote unquote stole it, kind of made it this like whitewashed genre for a long time. And there is a lot of discourse on that with another band that's going viral on TikTok as well, because they made a song stoking the fire, in my opinion, of we're taking metal back, we're taking rock back, we're taking the genre back, which good for you, girl, you do you, but you knew exactly what kind of audience you were trying to stir up there. And they hate rated the account and got them banned from TikTok. A bunch of other shit happened because of exactly what was going to happen in that situation when you are arguing against a jarhead mentality of a lot of the metal community. You're going to stir that fire, unfortunately. And that's a big part of me has always been in that punk community, and that's why I love that genre in particular, but I also adore the metal community because there's not a more wholesome side of it usually. There are other bad apples like your Panteras, your fucking God, your Leonard Skinner and your Southern rock shit. You have your problematic actors in every genre, and pop punk in particular is a lot of it.
All Time Low, MGK.
Yeah, you got Dance Gavin Dance now with Tillian allegedly assaulting somebody. There's a lot of it in that community, unfortunately. And the fact that they continued to market their album after the allegations did not help their look any.
Yeah.
But the whole thing was a Tim Freerick. I'm so glad that Dance Gavin Dance Memorial stream is now nuked, because it's like 3 days later those allegations came out. So, because I love Tim Freerick as a bassist, and that was unfortunate. And I'm a big advocate for helping addicts get on the road to recovery. And unfortunately, he overdosed before he could get any help there on the press for the tour. So, you know, I want those type of people to get better. Having come from that same issue in my early 20s, you know. But, so, yeah, that. But the whole point was, like, at that, I had the same kind of fucking people in the audience booing because it was a black, female-led fucking band. And I have never seen our local security throw people out of a concert venue so fast in my life that it was kind of satisfying. Like, they were immediately ejected once they started putting up signs. Like, the fuck out of here.
Signs?
They had signs. They had fucking...
my concert, there was just like one guy. But
they had fucking
signs.
picket signs because a black female fucking band was there.
That's just very weird, honestly. Like, that's just... That type of shit is just so
That
weird.
is extra level petty.
It's not even petty. That's... You need to touch some grass if you do shit like that.
You know, I was so shocked. The next concert I went to, there was the Trinity of Terror tour, same venue. And you had Lil Azar as an opener. And you had more people bitching because there was a female metal act. And the second her outfit showed, dude bros shut the fuck up. Because it was more revealing than a bunch of people jumping around in hoodies. I'm like, oh, you just want to see titties. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, what the fuck is this? This is like next level stupidity that these shows. So I'm just like, this community really needs a lot of help, kind of thing.
Ugh.
So yeah, like, and this ties into like a future podcast. Like, there's problem people in every fandom, and the metal community is not without it. The pop punk community, the punk community, none of them are without it. It's the same people, though, that were making those statements are the type of people that are sitting there jamming out to Rage Against the Machine, not understanding the message. So,
or just or exclusively listening to the Misfits because their music is very like apolitical.
mm-hmm. You know,
Or like jamming out the Bad Religion. And
jamming.
Fucking
I don't know.
American
I don't know
Jesus.
anybody that's still jamming out to Bad Religion in 2022.
Excuse fucking you, asshole.
I couldn't resist the low blow. But like, they are one of the more popular bands in that genre, but I just couldn't resist it. But no, like, you're right. Like, they're the type of people that listen to those types of bands exclusively, or Five Finger Fruit Punch. I stole that one from TikTok. I didn't create that one. I'm sorry. But no, like, that was the funny part of growing up is, like, I used to unironically love their music. And I actually went to Five Finger Death Punch shows. I got conked in the head, pissed drunk by Ivan's water bottle. I don't know if he was trying to throw me a water because I was so drunk, or he just wanted me to get away from the front of the stage. But no, like, is that something that, especially at, like, festivals, like, that was a festival show. Like, they'll just chuck water bottles into the fucking crowd when they see that people are about to pass out.
Actually, this whole conversation is reminding me of a clip I saw on YouTube of a No Effects show, and it's a No Effects show, so you know it's gonna be good.
It's a punk equivalent of going to a Knock Loose show. Holy shit!
Yeah, and this kid was on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, first fucking mistake. You never bring a fucking kid to a No Effects show.
No, no, you don't. That kid's going to get kicked in the head.
Yeah, and he's on the stage, and Fat Mike decides to explain what a chili dog is, which is something if I explain, I have a feeling this video is going to be taken down.
So, look that up. We're not explaining. Tyler, no. Tyler, no. Tyler, no.
Explain it. I'm not explaining it.
That sounds awful. Like,
Oh, it very much is.
Oh. Don't look on Urban Dictionary. We're not Urban Dictionary, so
I'm not looking up.
And Fat Mike's like,
good.
be responsible parents. Don't bring your kids to the show.
You know, as much as we dunk on MGK, like, if a kid gets on stage, he's at least wholesome because he has kids, you know. But, like, dude himself, not the greatest role model on the planet. But if the kid makes their way on the stage, he's like, okay, let's get you back to your parents. And it's the same thing with a lot of that scene, too. And then there's no FX that don't give a shit. Holy...
yeah. Because they acknowledge that their shit isn't for kids.
No, they really isn't. Guar's the same way. Take your kid to a Guar concert and there's blood and pus and guts and disembodied Donald Trump dolls splaying on your fucking child.
Okay, that last one sounds pretty cool.
I'll send you the clip. I'll send you the clip after this podcast.
Instilling the ideals of the radical left at a young age.
Right. I'll look it up right now. Before I forget, because we still got that. We still got the State of Shonen Jump podcast to film, so we want to wrap the political one up, guys.
Yeah, I will say the last thing. I want to say on this topic for the political side is circling back to what you said earlier about just casually watching stuff. It's kind of funny when you think about it, because people often say, like, I want to be challenged. Mm-hmm. I want to find something that will challenge me. And then when something does challenge them, they're like, I don't want woke stuff, or I don't want politics in my manga. So it's like, what do you want then?
It's funny because the word woke wasn't even what they are trying to use it for. The word woke was actually like Huey from Boondocks was technically a woke character. Woke wasn't really what it was prior. It was basically a African American who understood the hardships and knew about about certain things about about our culture and how the industrial prison industrial system, stuff like that. That was woke what actually meant. It was never supposed to be woke is you having a gay character in your franchise or this or that. That was never what woke was originally about. It's just that these people used it and changed it to something like that. And that's why. See,
it's the same issue as the word grooming is getting into, right? Because there's actual grooming. Look at the Catholic Church. You know, that is grooming. You're taking Ultra Boy, you are turning them into your puppet for your own pleasure. That is grooming. I have no problem having my fucking face associated with that, because fuck the Catholic Church and its pedophilia. You know, but you have this word being bastardized by the right to fit their own narrative of what it is. So they're equating having a drag show as they're grooming children. You're not required to take your child to a drag show. You're not required to take... In fact, you probably shouldn't to most. Because most of them are at bars where, the age of entry is fucking 18. But you're also not required to take your fucking child to church. You're not required to take your child to any of these things. But you want to use it to fit your own agenda, while also instilling your own set of morals on your child that is also as problematic as the other one to you. That's the biggest issue I have with this whole, topic there, you know? You have one that has been proven from, the 70s to be this very, very dark and seedy underground of religion, but you still want to take your child to church, where they're actually getting groomed by a priest, possibly, versus, a drag queen coming and reading fucking some Dr. Seuss book to your kids, or you seeing them on the streets at a pride parade, which you have to go out of your fucking way to attend said event. You are intentionally causing the same fucking strife that you want to create.
Yep. So yeah, so that whole Twitter thing was actually really funny. We weren't expecting that shit to blow up.
No.
Really funny. Honestly, at this point, I think I'm kind of over arguing with these idiots because.
Oh yeah, it's just going.
Honestly, it's just the same.
Unless it gets traction because of this video, I'm not interacting with it anymore.
It's the same argument every time. You don't want your politics.
And then they block you.
Yeah. Honestly, fucking hose mad. Suck my asshole, motherfuckers.
Suck all of our assholes.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Counterclockwise, please.
And with that,
peace.
Peace.